always begin everything with spiritual mind treatment, so take a deep breath. Remember to let it out and to continue breathing. Because we go to the world within. And that is the space that we organize and structure our life. And so turning within, we know, using the power of mind and the power of our thought, we know. We know that there is a presence and a power that is life itself, that is love and light, that permeates and penetrates and fills all things. We know that it is the very life that lives us. It is spirit, it is the divine, it is God, whatever word you want to use. It is all that there is. We are connected with everything, everywhere, and everyone. We are connected through this presence of spirit. We are made out of spirit. We are spiritual beings having a physical experience. And so in that world within, we are very, very clear about who we are. We are a God being. We are a spiritual being. We are a being of love and a being of light. We know that all things are possible. We are clear in our thought, and we live our lives accordingly. So we open up to the idea that the prosperity, the health, the love, the wholeness of all of life is ours now. That there is an infinite supply of all of these things, and that we have more than we need. We know that that is our divine birthright, to live the God life. And that it's easy, and that it's fun, and that we are clear. And then we move into a state of gratitude because everything has already been given. We already have it. We hold that thought clearly, and we watch it unfold in our lives. And so with great gratitude and great thanksgiving and great celebration for all that our lives have and all that we are, we simply release this into the mind of God, into all that God is, because we know that it's all God. As together we say, and so it is. Wonderful, wonderful. So did you miss me? Yes. Oh, I was actually affirming my health on Monday night. I'm healthy, happy, whole, and cool. And ready to release any thoughts that are opposite of that. I actually embraced allopathic antibiotics and said, God is in it all, so uncle, and things are coming along much better. It also was very odd in that I don't think about the weather, and so when we went down there and there was a cold front in Florida, it was a shock. What do you mean? It's Florida. It's always supposed to be 80 degrees and warm and all of that. So here we are again. I do need to let you know that I think 3 weeks from tonight. What is 3 weeks from tonight?
18. What is it? 18. 4/18? Yeah.
4 weeks.
4 weeks.
Either 3 or 4 weeks from tonight. I will be in Denver at the Financial Freedom Academy that's being set up for ministers and people in leadership of our movement to bring all of our centers into financial freedom. And there are some bigwigs, consultants being brought in to teach us how to do that on a very concrete level, which is in addition to all of the spiritual work that we do, but there is the treat and move your feet aspect of the teaching. So that's what I'm going to be getting clear on is how do you deal with big dollars and foundations and individual large gifts and going out and finding those and asking for them, which is probably not anybody's first choice unless you're a professional fundraiser and that you do that for your business. So it's gonna be a wonderful experience where I learn a lot, but that's yet another class that I'm not going to be here for. So just giving you a heads up, even though I made plane reservations for this yesterday, I don't remember the date. Is it the 18th I'm gonna be gone? Thank you, Kristen. 3 weeks from tonight on April 18th, I'm gonna be going to Denver, so thank you. So your reading last night was chapters, up to chapter 10. We are working on the Master Key System by Charles Haanel. And it was wonderful reading. Welcome to the people who are here for the first time. Our people from Oklahoma, Jack and Linda Rowe. I'm saying that again. But rumor has it that you guys are moving here.
That is our plan. After we sell our house in Oklahoma, this is where we plan to go.
Yay! Well, you can join the dozens of people who have done that. Really, dozens of people have sold their homes, changed their employment structure, and moved here for this community, for these people, for this teaching, and for this life.
Yep.
And so I welcome you with open arms. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And this weather too.
So wonderful, so we've got the Master Key System up through chapter 10, and I'm interested in, or part 10, I'm interested if you have any questions or particular comments about that reading before I get into it and start working it. Hi, David.
Yeah, I had a couple ideas that were new to me, and that was, it's like on 24, he talks about
Which part?
concentrating on something you desire.
Which part?
Number 22.
Wait,
Which
Part.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Be like a chapter, because other people don't
Yeah,
have
I
this exact
understand.
book.
I understand that. But he's talking in a couple places. That's part 3, and then, again, he talks about it, I think it was here where you aren't supposed to focus on what you desire. Like on the, this is part 4 and number 5, paragraph 5. It says most people allow their thoughts to dwell on selfish purposes, the inevitable result of a mind. When a mind becomes mature, it understands that the term of defeat is in every selfish thought. Well, what about our wants and desires?
Are they selfish? You can't see it. So it's part 4, paragraph 5.
Yeah, and he does it in a couple of places in here.
But your issue is with the word selfish.
Yeah,
Right.
all of it is, I guess, I've always thought that you don't try to put yourself above everybody else.
What does that have to do with your question? I guess I've always
My
thought,
selfish is anything above more than I need is more than what, isn't that selfish?
no, sweetheart. Having more than you need, further in the book he says nature is lavish, it's wasteful. That nature has an abundance and it goes to rot. That we live in a universe of more than enough. And when we look at ourselves and say, well, do you need that?
No,
And if you don't need it, then wanting it is selfish. So I think the word selfish is what's got you in this.
I guess so, because I believe it, but that is not the problem. It's just that I don't feel like I don't want to feel like I'm putting myself first.
I do. I do. There's a wonderful book by David Seabury called The Art of Selfishness.
Okay. I should be reading
If you don't go first, then what? You're going to wait for other people to figure it out and make your way clear? Your job is to go first. You're a light bearer. You have to go first. And to go first, you have to have what you need to go first. And to bring the light so that others can follow you. But if you wait for the rest of the world to figure it out and go forward, we're all just going to be sitting here forever. But it's the word selfish, so I want to go through and read the paragraph so that everybody's up to speed. The greatest and most marvelous power which this eye has been given is the power to think. But few people know how to think constructively or correctly. Consequently, they achieve only indifferent results. Most people allow their thoughts to dwell on selfish purposes, the inevitable result of an infantile mind. When a mind becomes mature, it understands that the germ of defeat is in every selfish thought. So what is a selfish thought that he's talking about? I don't think that that is having more than what you need. I think that what he's talking about is like Wallace Waddell says, that the only way to get rich is to lift everyone else up around you. And that if you deal in the competitive realm, you'll be thinking that if I get it, you don't, and if you get it, I don't, and so for me to be lifted up, I have to stomp you down, and that doesn't work. And so what he's saying is that you have to learn how to think effectively. And that if you're simply dealing with, there's a limited amount of good and I've got to compete with it and try to take things away from you, then that holds the seed of defeat. Not that, well, David, this is God talking, do you really need that? And if you don't need that, you shouldn't have it. No, that's an old idea. Nature is lavish. Nature rots the fruit everywhere. When I used to live in Oregon and they had plum trees in their yards, the grounds, unless the people were really vigilant, which they weren't, or at least not in Eugene, the ground would just be covered with plums and they would rot, and then the birds would come and get drunk and have a party. You could watch the birds fall over from the rotten plums on the ground. All in the hopes that that one tree will be able to make another tree by making thousands of plums. So that's not selfish. But if you move into the idea that there's a limited amount, and if someone else gets it, I can't get it, so I have to get all aggressive and competitive and try to take that from them, then you've got the seed of defeat in that. Why? Not because it's morally wrong or bad, but because it comes from a limited idea that there's not enough. And when you have that idea that says, well, David, you don't really need to have it if you don't need it, then consider challenging that and saying, I get to have it just because I want it. And yes, please put yourselves first. Remember the whole codependent self-help decades? Oh, yeah. That was all about putting yourself first. Take the last cookie. Please drink the last of the milk or the last of the lemonade. And then throw it away and get more so that we can have things that are current in our lives instead of rotten things in our lives. And that's what happens when we hold on to the little bit that we've got, whether it's money or energy or love or whatever. We hold on to that little bit, and because stagnation is not alive, it rots. And then we never get new. So go for it, David. David Seabury, The Art of Selfishness.
David Seabury or Arthur?
David Seabury.
David Seabury.
David Seabury, The Art of Selfishness. He said that life insurance is such a screw you to the person who's dead. You know what? I got to take care of you when I'm alive, and now I got to take care of you when I'm dead. Just a different way to look at things. Who else had any questions or comments on the reading before we get moving? Yes, Morgan.
Okay, so I had a question on, it's part 6, and it's actually just one sentence, number 16, which says, this influence of the mind can be exerted upon any part of the body, causing the elimination of any undesirable effect. I mean, that makes it sound so easy to, like, if you're sick. But I guess the influence of the mind, is that the conscious mind? Is that the subconscious mind?
But it's all of it. It's all of it. We use the conscious mind to direct the subconscious mind, which is equal to law. And yes, the influences of mind, of your thought, of your belief, can be directed to any part of your body, and it can cause an effect. You can make yourself sick, and you can make yourselves well. You can turn on genes in your body, and you can turn them off. They've actually proven that now. That through attention, genetic genes inside of your body can actually be activated or closed down. Bruce Lipton, Biology and Belief.
Yeah, it's a
So-
great book.
Pardon me?
It's a great book.
It's a great book. And if you're hypnotized, then your body can become a board. You can become a chicken. People can be burned. The burn can heal. All kinds of things can happen just like that. But what we do is we recreate our bodies on a regular basis, and we recreate them exactly the way they were before. Why? Because we don't think a new thought about them. Because we don't direct and train ourselves to think efficiently to where our physical body or the body of our affairs has a different outcome. It can happen just like that, or it can happen in a process.
Yep.
Is that because it's too loud or too low?
Sounds like it's cutting in and out.
No, it's getting ready to do feedback. I'm never alone up here. Biology and Belief, and he's got a new one out. I forget what it's called.
It's actually biology, I believe.
The Biology of Belief. Uh-huh. And the other woman has a book called The Molecules of Emotion. Talks about how your emotions affect your body. Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, any other questions? What is that? The feedback that's starting.
Yes, we're feedback.
That's not feedback, it's cutting out.
I don't hear
Where's your
that.
receiver?
Back there. Are you a sound guy?
Yeah.
I was gonna have your house sold.
Well, it was a retired sound guy.
I thought I was retired.
So what is the master key? It's thought. Thought is the master key. And so all of these chapters or all of these parts are all about how to use your thought to be able to create better experiences in your life, or experiences that you want in your life, or to not create experiences that you don't want in your life. And what he's saying is that there are certain processes that you can do. You've got exercises to do every night, and they're all about training your thought. And then he says, if you get it, he says, good, you're making great progress. I love that. He's talking about looking at a blank wall and then seeing the square and then putting the circle in it and then bringing a cone out into 3 dimensions and being able to see it, walk around it, look at it, know that it's there. The ability to create that in your head is really important. And why is that?
For your visualization, I'm assuming that so you can get what you want because you can visualize it.
Because you might want to visualize what?
Whatever.
Like what?
Oh, a house.
You might want to visualize a house. And so if you can pull a cone out of the wall, then you're moving forward to your ability to see the house, to see the car, to see the money, to see the change in your body, to feel it, to smell it, to know it, to experience it. The more that you can train your mind to not focus on what's in front of you, but to focus on what you want to be in front of you, the better you can do that, the better that you can have what you want in front of you. And so he's giving you exercises every day to be able to do that. And just so you know, this book is on our website for a free download.
Got it.
Great. So he's giving you exercises to train your mind. And one thing that, you know, I'm sheltered here. And I get to be around you all the time. And I want you to know that you guys are really, really great. And when I go and I'm around other people, it's a shock that they're not thinkers. Most of the people are not thinkers. And they see it and they believe that it's there and they have no idea of the connection between themselves and their experiences. Or they have no idea of the connection between what they're expecting and their experience, or their experience repeating over and over and over again. It's like the person that's been married 7 times, you've been married to the same person over and over and over again. The common denominator there is you, not the other dirty, rotten rackenfratches. It's you. You did that. And so when I look at the world and how the world thinks, I can see Charles Haanel saying, okay, boys and girls, we're going to start at the very beginning. The important thing to understand is that what's going on inside of your head is really important. So we're going to describe it and give you exercises and have you practice and come up with this far-fetched idea that there is a world within and a world without, and that the world without is simply a reflection of the world within. And if you want to have any change in your life, you don't work on the world without. Don't get 3 jobs. Sit home, work on your head. If you want to have a change in your life, you don't work on the world without, you work on the world within. And when you work on the world within, amazing things happen in the world without. How many of you were here yesterday and heard Gina? Wasn't that fantastic? Gina Woody, she's moving back to Colorado. She got the job that she wanted when she left, and they said it was impossible for her to have that job. They couldn't fund it, you know, it just was never going to happen. So she said, okay, well, I'm going to move to Asheville, and we're going to start all over there. And she realized, because she came here with you people, that her problems were not outside of her. Her problems were all inside of her, and for 2 years, she worked on her head. She got completely out of debt. She healed her relationship with her father, and they called and said, hey, we created this job for you. Do you want it? And by the way, it's a 40% increase in salary. And somebody else said, hey, will you live in our house for 4 to 6 months while you're pulling it together? That's what happens when you work on the world within. When you work on the world within, the amazing experiences shift in the world without. But most people can't let go of their need to hold on to material form. It's like when someone comes up to me and they say, I haven't got any money, I've always been in debt, and there's just not enough, and blah, blah, blah. I said, great, are you tithing? That's ridiculous. There's no way I could do that. I'll die for sure. Great. If you're gonna hold on to your limitations, Abraham calls it arguing for your limitations. If you're gonna hold on to your limitations, then what you're gonna create are your limitations. If you choose to let go of that and go to the world within and say, I'm going to begin to practice a different feeling around money, that there's more than enough, that I can give some, that I can set the law in motion, and that something will happen. When you do that, things happen. And then people who know that, it's like, oh yeah, I'm not going to stop that. That would be crazy. It's like going out to the pump without a bucket of water. I'll never get money. I'll stand out there for days pumping that pump and nothing will happen. But if I take my bucket of water, then I know how to prime it. And so someone sees you going out to the pasture, I had a pump like this, with a bucket of water, and they go, well, you fool. You're dragging a bucket of water out there for nothing. Don't you know there's a pump out there? Yes, but it needs my bucket of water. Once you get that, you'll never be deterred from it. But as long as people want to say, the world is dangerous, people will hurt me, all men are this, all women are this, there's no jobs, there's not enough money, I'm going to die at 58 like my father and grandfather or whatever, as long as you want to hold on to that, then that will be the experience, and then it looks so logical. And you've surrounded yourself with people who go, oh, poor baby, I know. You just keep, you know, Murphy's Law, if anything can go wrong, it will go wrong, and that's obviously your lot in life, your cross to bear, and all of that stuff. Most people can't let go of the idea of the material world. They just think they're gonna die. Like to say something like the table isn't real. I mean, they used to lock you up, and before that, I think they burned us at the stake. The table isn't real.
Now I've heard it. I heard that. Now I heard it.
Things can shift in a moment. The universe is constantly rebuilding itself and unfolding in love and joy. And even though things look like they're falling apart, they're really falling together if you stay clear in the world within. And so what I want you to know is that you guys really are the cream of the crop. You really are the light bearers of humanity, the way changers, the visionaries for consciousness change, because you can grasp these ideas. Don't panic. Go within. Don't react. Don't freak out. Go within. If the world without is reflecting a life that you don't want, then go within. Take a deep breath. Get a little oxygen to your brain, because by then the adrenaline's already shot out and you've gone into fight or flight. So take a breath, stop that whole neurological process, and shift the energy. And if you shift the energy, the table will shift. The glass will show up where it wasn't. Things will change in what most people would call miraculous ways if you can shift inside of you. And so here's Wallace Wattles, almost 100 years ago, or more than 100 years ago, I think, looking at the world who were sick in that medical science had not, it still hasn't, but had not made many advances at all, and we were not actively using home remedies, and people were just dying. They were dying of tuberculosis, they were dying of infection, they were dying in childbirth. People would break a leg and it'd kill them. They were afraid. There wasn't a high standard of living in that infant mortality rates were still way too high, and there wasn't a high caloric and protein level in people's diets. They weren't well. They weren't living rich, full lives. They were scared. And he was looking at them going, there's something here inside of you that if you will learn how to think, you can have the outside shift. And so he gives these exercises that are really cool. One is to look at something and go all the way back to where it came from. Like, look at this table. How do you think it got here?
You bought it at the store.
We bought it at the store. How did the store get there? How did it get to the store?
It was an idea in somebody's mind.
It originally was an idea in somebody's mind, but even before that, somebody had to figure out how to make plastic. Ernest Holmes talks about the plasticity of the universe. He's not talking about plastic. He's talking about a concept of flow and movement. But there had to be plastic. There had to be, I think the legs are aluminum. There had to be rubber stoppers on them. There had to be a room for that table to come to. So that takes us back to Barbara and John on the bridge to No Name Key saying, okay, I'll go back into ministry, even though I think it's a stupid idea. And here we are today. So there had to be a room for it to come to. There had to be somebody who wanted to sit at it, which brings you into the picture. Not only did we have to have the manufacturing and the ideas, but somebody somewhere said, God, let's stop making those heavy wooden tables and use this new stuff called plastic. And we've actually got 3 generations of these plastic tables in these buildings, and they get lighter and lighter, or heavier and heavier, depending on which way you look at it chronologically. These are the lightest of them all, because these are the newest ones. So to have a table, to have a floor, to have your car, to go in and turn on hot water. How many people travel out of the country? A couple of years ago, I spent time in Costa Rica, and they didn't have hot water. Why would anyone want to take a hot shower in February in Costa Rica? It's on the equator. There was no hot water. I have a friend who has a center in Ukraine, Tenemos it's called. And the government turns the hot water off about this time of the year, and you don't get hot water until autumn. That's it. If you want hot water, you can boil it. So things like, how did you get hot water? Most people took a shower in the last 24 hours, and most of you took one with hot water. How did that happen? How'd you get your hair product? How'd you get your clothes? How did all of this stuff come into form? It goes back to a thought that there's so many things working on bringing it together. And then I like the idea of what is it that you want that you think is going to be impossible? What is it that you want that you think is impossible? Look at everything that has come together just for you to sit here. The physiological processes working in your body just to digest your dinner and breathe are amazing. You have so much going on already. And then we'll take one thing because we haven't seen it yet. Hold on to the material. You know, we all might fall over dead if this stuff isn't real. No, we're fine. We're spiritual beings. So we take one thing and we go, I'd really like that, but that'll never happen. Why? Look at everything that's happened up until now. Look at what's happened just so that you can sit at a table in a room with other people. It's huge. A couple of weeks ago it was really cold in here, so we had the heat on. In a couple of weeks it'll be hot and we'll have the air conditioning on. It's amazing how much the universe is supporting you right at this very second. And so if we learn how to think and we don't just discount it, oh, that's nothing. No, it's something. It's big stuff. And so you've got one thing that you'd really like, but I don't think it'll ever happen. I just don't think it's going to happen. Why? Let's rethink that. Because if you don't think it's ever going to happen, then it's never going to happen in the world within. You already have it not happening. And the truth is that it has, excuse me, it has already happened. It already exists. It must exist, not only quantum physics in the pure potentiality, but also if you have an infinite universe and you have a thought and that thought doesn't have the corresponding substance to it, then you have a hole in the universe and it is no longer infinite. It is the universe and this place where it stops, there's a hole, which means all of time and space will not hold together and we won't be here. So it exists. Whatever it is you can think it exists. Just a little side note, that's why it becomes so important for you to be careful about what you're willing to go off on in your head, because you've created that. You've created that. You've created that in form. So whatever it is that you're thinking that you want, but it's not going to happen, it's impossible, probably never work out, then if you rethink that, you can create that experience of, well, yeah, of course it can work out. What types of things might there be in the room like that? What do you want that you think? What? No, come, Michaela. What?
Sound machine.
Sound?
Sound.
A sound machine.
Yeah.
What is a sound machine other than the thing I use to sleep?
Like those.
You mean like a stereo?
Yeah.
Okay. So if we look at Michaela wants a hi-fi system, stereo, sound machine, something that's a step above a boombox, right? So, Michaela, you don't get off that easy. So, has anybody else ever had that? Okay, so we have it, so you know it exists. You know that it's possible, so let's follow that back. How do you think I got my sound machine? Do you think it just fell out of the sky one day and just dropped down? Because that's what a lot of people think. That people who have what they want and they think they're not going to get it, they think those other people just had it drop into their laps. They didn't have to do anything. They didn't have to make it happen. It wasn't real. Because when you abstract it out like that, you don't have to be connected to it. If you can see how I created that, then you can see how you can create that.
Buy it from the store or manifest it.
Well, often buying it from the store is manifesting it. Yeah.
And then you have a room to put it in and all that.
That amplifier in there was the old sound system for when we were out in Fairview. It was the entire sound system for the entire celebration, whether it was Sunday or classes or whatever. It was the whole shebang. That's what that was. And Michaela, when we bought that, it seemed about as far-fetched for us to get that as you probably feel today. It seemed like it was a really big purchase, a really big commitment. We were buying microphones and cords and stands and an amplifier and a mixer and a tape recorder, because at that time we were recording things on cassette tapes. We were making this really big commitment based on trust and faith that this whole thing that's now called Center for Spiritual Living would work out. So, what we do is we begin to see what we want, and then we make a mental image of it. Can you see it? Good. And then what I do is I kind of look for clues. You know, what am I supposed to do? How is this supposed to work? Well, usually the way my demonstrations work is with a lot of work. You know, so I work whether I have sound or not. I teach, I do Sunday, I take care of whatever's in front of me. I work with people whether I've got it looking the way that I want it to look yet or not, but I always hold that image. And then I move forward. And the way that this sound machine, this sound equipment worked out is that after working a lot, the money showed up, not in this giant donation of someone saying, oh, I want to buy a sound system for the center. No, it showed up as $1 here and $5 there. We did not have the prosperity consciousness back then that we have now. Don't for a minute think $1 here or $5 there is going to help you in your life at all. If I was going to buy a new sound machine here, which we did a couple of years ago, it was a $10,000 sound machine. But back then it was $1 here, a couple of dollars there, pay the bills, what's left, what can we do, treat, 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 tithe, work, 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 and then we had it. And we have used that thing for 20 years. But if you can look at what you think, because then it's just a matter of your self-worth. That, oh, Barbara Waterhouse can have it, but not Michaela. Let me tell you, we are very close. We are very close. You are a very bright and shining being. And I was not always this together. So if you've got something that you want and you don't think it's going to happen, consider, does anybody else have that? And if so, how did they get it? Oh, well, they must have been born with a silver spoon in their mouth. Most people were not. Most people learn how to create, take risks, step out on faith, have courage, move forward, trust that it's all going to work out, be willing to fall flat on your face if it doesn't work out because you're not willing to live the same life that you've always lived. And when you do that, you create things in your life, and then other people start looking at you going, oh, I wish I could have that, but it's not going to happen to me. You're special. That must have just fallen out of the sky on you one day while you were sitting on your couch eating bonbons. No, that's not the way creation works. But when we realize our responsibility in manifesting that, can you pull the cone out of the wall? Can you do that? Can you dismiss whatever is in physical form right now as old news and move into creating something brand new? Most people don't want to put the effort into it, frankly. Most people are pretty lazy, but the funny thing is they end up working like crazy They get 3 jobs and they're struggling all of their life, not realizing that if they take that energy and turn it inside of themselves, instead of getting a second job, try doing spiritual practice a couple of hours a day. A couple of hours a day? I can't do that. Yes, you
Less time than a
can.
second job.
It's less time than a second job, and it will pay greater dividends than whatever a second job is paying. I love what Charles Haanel has about sitting still. Have you practiced that?
Yes.
It's like when I first started transcendental meditation, I was 15 when I bought my first mantra. And I hated it. I just hated meditating. You know, they would say, oh, when a thought comes up, just watch it bubble up like something and watch it burst and go away. But my mind was just jumping around like crazy. And that probably went for years and years until I could calm myself down and really go to a deep place. So as you practice the simple art of sitting still, have you noticed that it's not as simple as it seems? Sitting still. No, you can't go clean up the coffee. And no, the stove is not on. So what we do is we learn to discipline ourselves and our thought so that we can create that which we want inside of ourselves, so that we can do whatever it is we need to do to have the life that we want to have. And it doesn't mean that we don't do anything on the outside, but we've structured it inside first. We see it. We see it like a hologram. We go all around it. And even if you don't know what it is, you can have that experience. John and I went fishing. I love to fish. I'd forgotten how much I love to fish in the flats in Florida. I just love it. It's only like 4 feet deep. All of the boats are really little. They have these things called no motor zones, where you can't have an outboard engine running. And you can use either a little electric engine or you can use a giant stick and push yourself along like a gondolier. And it's really, really quiet. And anyone who's done any amount of fishing know that fishing and catching fish have very little to do with each other. And it was just wonderful, just wonderful. So much to my surprise, my husband, who has, I won't say hated because that's not fair, my husband, who has gotten violently ill pretty much any time he's gotten in a boat, has not had an affinity for being in boats or going fishing. He had a blast because there were no waves out there. It's only 4 feet deep. As the wind blows. And so we came back and said we wanted to get a boat. And now we're working on getting a boat. So we're down in Florida. We have places with fences and locks, and you pay the money and they make sure your stuff is safe. And in that we're going, well, I don't know exactly what I want. I'm getting closer right now, but at that time we didn't know exactly what we wanted, but we knew what we wanted the feeling to be like. We wanted to float. And just take a minute. See, you've got that on the lake. You want to float. There's something close to flying in floating. I want to have the sun on my face. I want to float. I want it to be quiet. Maybe see an osprey, a sea hawk. We saw a sea hawk dive down into the waves and come up with a fish. How cool is that? I want to have that connection. I want to have that peace. Okay, you can come back to me now. But that can be the visualization every bit as much as the vision boards that we created a couple of months ago, where you're cutting out actual pictures and pasting them on a piece of paper. Morgan and then Jane.
So my question to you would be, when you're out there fishing, you're obviously not thinking about business back here? Are you concentrating, or are you kind of?
I'm not thinking at all.
So
I'm floating. I think it's spiritual practice.
I mean, yes, Absolutely, so your thoughts aren't like going, oh, I gotta pay
No,
this bill, or oh, I
You're just
gotta,
floating. Isn't it great?
yeah.
So it's okay to create that as the vision or the visualization in your mind of what you want. You want that experience. Jane?
Well, with my car, I didn't even know that there was that color in the world. And, but I just I thought, gee, it'd be wonderful to have it. And so it turns out there was, and it's called peacock. And it's done wonders for me because it's so visible that people don't crash into my.
It's a whole evolution of a life, Jane, happening on many levels with you. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I took it to wash it the other day, and this real tough-looking guy, I just looked, one of the fenders was out of line, and the dealer wouldn't fix it. And this kid just came up to it, and he said, whose peacock is that out there? It's mine. And he had just kicked it in, and it's
So look at the difference in your life. You had people not that many years ago crashing into you very often. We'll call it that.
with my Subaru, yeah.
Yes, yes, and now you have tough-looking guys coming over and fixing your car.
Yeah.
That's the world within has shifted, Jane. The world within shifts and the world without shifts. So the first thing to do is to get the idea that this thing exists and that you can have it. And for a lot of people, that's the big hurdle. Oh, everybody else can have this but me. Everybody else can have love but me. Everybody else can have more than enough but me. Everybody else can have opportunity but me. So that's the important thing to realize, is that we are connected. That other person that has that is already you. You already have that. And you don't have theirs, you have yours. It already exists, it's got your name on it, and it's just waiting for that connection. So the first thing to do is to know that you can have it, and then it's to get a sense of it. Ernest calls it embodying it. And Charles Haanel says to create a picture of it, but I don't want you to be limited by the idea that it has to be a visual experience. It can be very kinesthetic, it can be auditory, it can be whatever your smell thing is. You know, you just have that experience of it so that you have a sense that it's yours and that you've got it. Dee.
So, if you feel like you have everything,
Sounds good.
and you're very happy with today and this existence and this life, and there isn't anything that I want this to continue. I don't want to lose this. I want this to be what I have. Is that okay?
Sure, that's good.
Yeah.
But you have to be mindful
Grateful.
and grateful,
Oh,
because
very
we
grateful.
will tend to go back into our old thinking, and there's that whole race consciousness thing of other people around us. You may notice that with family and work and things like that, that you want to just stay mindful, you want to stay clean and clear. That's why spiritual practice is so important. To get up in the morning and set your intention before you go out the door. If you find yourself getting anxious or upset about anything, stop. Go to the world within. I have everything I have ever wanted. I am so happy. I'm not going to abandon that just because the paper didn't show up on time. Just because this person did that. I'm not going to do that. And I just feel so much better. Now I'll go back out, and because you've changed the world within, the world without changes.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Can you repeat that?
I don't know.
When you're going out the door and you stop and you come back and you say to yourself,
Well, I was repeating what Dee said. I already have everything that I want, that I've ever wanted. I am so happy, and that was not always the case with you. You have come to this center and you have worked diligently on your world within, and your life shows it. So I already have everything that I want. I'm already so happy, and I'm not going to give that away just because, and then fill in the blank with whatever's got you. Just because I'm not gonna give away my peace and my happiness and all my work that I put decades in on myself. I'm not gonna give that away just because the light turned red. You know, that's ridiculous. And yet people do. They're going through and
I've blown at some red lights. So I must still need some stuff.
As you're sitting at the red light, you simply work it out. You go, now wait a minute. I'm having such a great day. Look at my life. I'm married to a wonderful woman. I have a fantastic job. I got more money than I know what to do with. I'm beautiful. Everything in my closet is green. I'm not going to give that away for a red light. I'm not going to do it. And then you take a deep breath to counteract all of the adrenaline in your system and the limbic brain and the fight or flight. Just take a deep breath. That's really all that you need. And you're good to go. Put a big smile on your face and you're good to go. But we sacrifice ourselves. I mean, this is a lot of work you guys have been putting in. I mean, some of us for many, many decades. And yet we'll take that and we'll throw it all away because of one person or one thing. Well, I have a right to my feelings. Well, of course you do. You have a right to just flush your life down the toilet. But do you want to do that over a feeling? It's just a feeling. They come and they go, and there's lots of them. You can pick and choose. So many of us take all of the work that we've done on ourselves and we throw it away so that we can have a reaction. And part of that has to do, just to give everybody a little bit of a break, has to do with an addiction to adrenaline. And there's actually a whole neurophysiological process that happens when we get upset and we can become addicted to drama. That was Candace Pert's The Molecules of Emotion, and that we can get high off of the whole biochemical process of drama, upset, fear, anger, all of that carry a corresponding drug response inside of us. And so really though, would you go out and go to a crack house down on Lexington and throw your life away there? No, then don't do it for the emotion, for the drugs that you can generate inside of your own body. Don't do that. Susan. I don't know. Lexington is a very nice place.
That's where they were.
On Saturday night, I smashed the front of my brand new car. And I was pissed, and I vented out loud. Nobody was really there, but I did. And then it began to shift, and I was on my way, it's not a commercial for her, but I was on my way to go into an Amy Steinberg concert.
Oh, good.
So you
had help.
I had help. I had dear friends, many people here were sitting there, and Amy sang positive things. She talked about 70-30. You know, she once said she was down, and how down are you? Well, maybe 30%. Oh, great, there's 70% of you that's up and healthy and whatever, and can pull that 30 out. So when I was thinking, man, I worked so hard to get a good price on this car, and now it's going to cost me deductible and all that stuff. And then my gratitude list was there. And I have a mantra from past experiences that if money can fix my problems, it's a supercalifragilistic day. It's a fabulous day. If my problems can be fixed with money. And I just began to see the list that went on and on and on, and the smashed front of my car.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so visual and tangible to me. And I will take care of it. And I also jumped ahead into the future, knowing that, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks, whatever it's going to be, I will be there looking back at this.
Right.
And my lifestyle won't change.
No.
So,
No. It's just
it was a
money.
process, and I was I was upset and I was sad and I was angry at myself and I should have been more whatever it was. And then it balanced, more than balanced, because it was there and everything else
Right.
All the
was
good
there.
stuff was.
It is whatever we can do to get ourselves to shift.
It does, I guess sometimes it happens almost naturally. It presents itself much more quickly. I mean, like years of having, bringing myself into a balanced, peaceful state, whereas now, maybe 30 minutes.
Good for you,
And
30 minutes.
actually, it was, and I kept going back and forth, and on the way home, I spoke to my son. By the time I was in my house that night, it's like, I'm okay.
Yeah,
I'm okay, I really am.
And over the years, I have convinced myself to go ahead and make it up, since we're making it all up anyway, and however we make it up, it becomes, to make it up that there was something that happened because I was in that accident or whatever that stopped something else from happening. And that had I the conscious awareness that at some level I do have of saying, would you like that or would you like that? I'll go with that and think I got off scot-free.
Right.
Or there's something that was set in motion that will be for my highest and best that is so much greater than a repair on our car. And then I don't know that, but rather than go into a limited viewpoint that says something was taken from me, something happened to me, I wasn't good enough, I did this, then I'll go to, I have legions of angels and spirit guides and beings of the light always supporting me in everything that I do. And if this happened, that was a good thing.
Yeah, I was thinking that, who knows, maybe down the line, if I didn't learn this focus more lesson, maybe I could have driven into something far worse. I don't know.
And for me, I don't usually get to know those answers, but the story that I tell myself is that, wow, I'm so glad this happened because only good things happen to me. I'm always in my perfect and right place, doing exactly what I need to be doing. And if this happened, this is part of some bigger puzzle that I may never see that happened for my and everyone else's highest and best, because that's the way my life works. And then people laugh at me, think I'm being Pollyanna, think I'm being silly. I don't care, that's my life, that's my world within, and then I can go great and just move on. So good for
I
you.
jumped away from, oh God, I never catch a break, I saved this money and now I have to spend the money, and it was like, don't go
No, you
there.
caught a break. You caught a great break. You just don't know what it is.
That's
But
right.
it's a great break. Who cares?
Right.
Good for you.
And I didn't break me in any way, it was just
Really?
my car.
Yes. Good, thank you. Sandy?
That's one of the things that I use from you in traffic. Well, something is keeping me from something else that I don't need to be a part of.
If I am always in my perfect and right place, then being in this traffic jam is my perfect and right place.
That's right.
And that's where I must need to be. Thank you, all of you hundreds of people, for helping stop me from going where I wasn't going to be in my right place. That's all. And life is so much easier. There's a rhythm and a flow to life when you really see that everything is working out for your good. And it's so much easier to live that way. So, back to a recap, you're gonna have an idea of what you want, whether it's freedom, whether it's keeping things going, whether it's a sound machine, whether it's a person, whether it's whatever it is, you're gonna have an idea, and you're going to work on yourself to know that you can have that. You're gonna look at it and say, well, what is this really other than an idea that somebody had? People came together in the universe to support it, to bring it into form. It happens all the time. Every time I get in my car, every time I turn the water on, there are millions of people that have come together to support me in being here right now. That's going to continue to happen. And whatever this thing is, or whatever this experience is, it's already mine and it already exists. Learning how to think. Let's take a break. So part 8, section 19, paragraph 19. Part 8, that'd be like chapter 8, section 19, paragraph 19. You cannot entertain weak, harmful, negative thoughts 10 hours a day and expect to bring about beautiful, strong, harmonious conditions by 10 minutes of strong, positive, creative thought. So let's get honest here. You can't be thinking things for 10 hours that are going to create a limited life and then expect to just get it all jazzed up in the mornings in 10 minutes of affirmations or treatment or reading your Science of Mind magazine or even coming to this amazingly fantastic class. What we have to do is stop thinking about what we don't want. We have to stop it. You know, it's like Cher smacking Nicolas Cage in Moonstruck. Snap out of it! And when we have the discipline, which is what these exercises are about, when we have the discipline to sit still, when we have the discipline to think about what we want to think about, when we want to think about it, we can not think about what we don't want. And this is a bigger deal than most people think, because most people don't think. To be able to not think about what you don't want, because usually there's emotion involved because you don't want it. So there might be some fear involved. There might be some anxiety or some worry. There might be some anger or upset or blame or shame. Not that anybody in this room would ever have any of those feelings. So if you have a thought that everything's going to fall apart and you're worried about it and you're angry and you're blaming that other person anyway, then the ability to pull your focus back from that is like the Olympics of thinking. And Rio's coming up shortly. People who end up in the Olympics, again, do you think it just fell out of the sky and dropped on their lap while they were sitting on the couch eating bonbons? No. I know a young teenager that was training for the gymnastic competition in Rio. And she's been training since she was about 8. And she trains 4 hours a day, every day. She has a coach, she goes to a gymnasium, she was Olympic quality until she blew out her shoulders and had to have surgery on both shoulders, and the doctors said there is no way you will ever do gymnastics again. So now she's fencing. And she may end up in the Olympics at fencing because she's really good. She's really good at fencing because she trained for gymnastics. How does that work? I want to see if you can figure it
Oh,
out.
the discipline is very similar.
It's the discipline. It's the discipline. It's not the fact that she could do flips on the pole vault. It's not that. It's the mental discipline that she has transferred over to fencing, which doesn't hurt her shoulders, just like that. So people who can pull their attention back from what they don't want are training for the Olympics in thinking. And if you want a gold medal life, we'll just keep the whole analogy going. If you want a gold medal life, you have to practice. You know, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. You have to practice, and so you have to learn how to not only just have an idea that this is what you want, but you want to be able to know that it's yours, that it already exists, and you want to bring it into your life. You want to bring it into form. So you want to have some real live tools and techniques to be able to control what you think about so that you can stop thinking about what you don't want and start thinking about what you do want. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Excellent. So there is the truth, and he talks about the truth a lot. And then there are facts about our lives. Facts, just for the sake of this discussion, do not have to be that way, are things that we might not want to keep. They are the world without. So we'll go without. And the truth, we'll look at more of a soul level, more of a spiritual level, and that is the work that we do on the world within. One of the things to keep in mind is that because facts are on the outside, they are in the world of time and space. So facts may be here one day and they may not be here another day. They may be here this minute and then not be here the next minute, because they are manifestations in the world without, which is the world of time and space. So, if you have something in your life that you want to stop thinking about, and it'd be really cool if we had something that was real, what might that be?
Pain in my left shoulder.
Pain. Let's not put it too focused. Pain. Physical. Physical pain. So, we'll stop. Just one thing. So we've got some physical pain going on, and do you find that the more you think about it, the more it hurts?
Yeah.
Great. So the more you think about the pain, the more it hurts, and it would be really good to be able to pull that energy back from that experience and then to think about something else. So instead of thinking about pain in your left shoulder, do you want to focus on pain in your foot? No. Do you want to focus on pain in your relationship? No. Do you want to focus on any pain at all? No. If we're going to be training for the Olympics, let's go for the gold. If we have pain and we want to pull our attention back from it, we want to look at no pain. And what would that be? If we're looking at the spiritual truth of our lives, our existence, the opposite of pain would be what?
Perfect health.
Health. I love you, Michaela. She's over there going, perfect health, perfect wealth. Health, and I would go ahead and put comfort, ease, strength. Okay, that's all I'm gonna write down, especially since I'm transposing letters. Strength. So, if you're going to command your thought to pull away from that which you don't want, you're gonna have to give it something to do. You can't just free float out there going, I'm not going to think about how much my arm hurts. I'm not going to think about how much my shoulder hurts. I'm just not going to do that. Barbara says don't do that, and I'm not going to do it. It's not going to work. You have to give yourself something else to think about. And I forget how many, but we have so many thoughts. And so this is not something that you will do in 10 minutes. It's something that you train yourself to do all day long. So we're going to turn this into an affirmation. And remember, an affirmation is to make firm in your life. And you start making things firm in your life by making things firm inside of you. You teach yourself what to think until you can just go there naturally. When you start playing the piano, you've got to hold your arms in a certain way. You don't just start with the notes. It's a whole thing. My grandson took violin for 4 months this year, and he had the violin for 2 weeks before he was allowed to play it. And he worked on the violin, he studied the violin, he did all kinds of things with the violin, but he wasn't allowed to play it yet. It was too soon. He had to do things before he could ever play a note. So you're going to do this with your thought. And an affirmation is personal. It's in the present tense. So personal would be I. Present tense would be now. Positive would be, no, nose. Precise would be short. And powerful would be evocative words. E-V-O-C-A-T-I-V-E. It would evoke a response in you. You've already got a response. Damn, my shoulder hurts. Ow. Oh, no, not again. You've already got a response that evokes something in you, and you want to have better responses. So you're going to use words like freedom and strong and comfortable, all of those things that will lift you into a better space. So we're going to write a short affirmation that we can say over and over and over and over and over again. I recommend going to Dick's and getting a clicker and clicking out 1,000 of them a day. And people say, well, I won't have time to think about anything else, and that is exactly the point. That is exactly the point, because every time you want to go to, you go, before you know it, you're like that. So, the affirmation would be, what are we going to use here? Am. Now, I want April to do it.
It's her thing. Sure. I am now healthy, comfortable, strong and powerful.
Are those your words? Say it again, start to finish.
I am now healthy, comfortable, strong and powerful.
Say it again.
I am now healthy, comfortable, strong and powerful.
How's that feel?
Good.
I think it's too long.
Okay.
Shorten it.
I am now healthy and strong.
Okay, I'm now healthy and strong. Do you want to, I am now healthy and strong, or I feel healthy and strong?
I feel healthy and strong.
I feel healthy and strong.
Yeah.
So we don't have to have the am and the now. We just need to not have it be next week and be somebody else. I feel healthy and strong. I feel healthy and strong. I feel, I feel healthy and strong. I feel healthy and strong. And you can change it. I am healthy and strong. My shoulder is healthy and strong. I feel great. You know, I'm just on top of this. Everything is fine. Let it evolve if it wants to evolve, but practice pulling your thought away from what you don't want. It's like you're driving into, excuse me, you're getting on 40 going west and you want to go to Charleston or the Outer Banks. Where am I? Never been good at geography. You want to go to the Outer Banks and you're headed toward Tennessee. Don't do that. Stop the car. Turn it around and go where you want to go. Oh, but it would be so embarrassing. All the other people on the exit would look at me and know I was just turning around, that I was going the other way. I'm just going to pretend that I really want to go to Tennessee. No, you don't. You want to go the other direction, so you have to stop it. Stop thinking what you don't want to live. Practice this. And it doesn't usually come just like that. You got to work at it. You know, the ice skaters get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and they skate before school. And then they go to school. They work at it. People who have a life that we admire, it didn't just happen. They did it. And it took effort on their part. So put some effort into your thinking. Stop thinking fear-based thought, limited thought, thoughts that it's not going to happen. Stop it and instead force yourself to think things like, I feel great. Everything is wonderful. I am rich. I'm so happy. You know, I have everything that I've ever wanted. Force yourself to think those thoughts instead of, oh my God, what's going to happen? It's all going to fall apart. And I just know, no. Because there is an emotional, biochemical response that ends up being a drug in your body. And you've got to pull yourself back from that and force yourself to think happy thoughts. So, I feel healthy and strong. I feel healthy and strong. Hello, my beautiful shoulder. You are healthy and strong and beautiful. You have ligaments and cartilage and muscles that are just great. You are wonderful. You are the best shoulder ever. I feel healthy and strong. I feel healthy and strong. I do feel healthy and strong. I'm breathing. I'm standing up. I'm moving around. I feel healthy and strong. Look at me. I'm healthy and strong. And you just go with it and go with it and go with it and go with it.
I was just, are you talking about like this, like the rage of appreciation type thing?
No, I'm talking about the same thing over and over and over and over and over again 1,000 times a day.
Okay.
Because when you think a thought, your neurotransmitters grow together. What fires together wires together. They literally grow together. And when you stop thinking or try to stop thinking about something you don't want to think about anymore, but you've been thinking about it all your life, they are grown together. And you gotta kind of pull them apart, and it's not always pretty. And then there's this sense in psychology where it feels like you don't know who you are, the floor's falling out from underneath you. I liken it to the circus trapeze artists that they're going back and forth on one trapeze, and here's this other trapeze, and it's not matched or anything, and then all of a sudden it's going like this, and they've got to let go. The two trapeze don't come up together so the guy can hold one hand here and the other hand here and then let go when everything is all safe. They've got to fly through the air. And there's that feeling of, I don't know what's going on anymore. I don't know who I am anymore. This is not comfortable. There is very disconcerting, this feeling that I've got. Great. It means that your neurotransmitters are just waving around in the goo of your brain looking for something new. And so what do? You give them something new. I feel healthy and strong. I feel healthy and strong. I feel healthy and strong. You go, hey, sailor. Who are you? I feel healthy and strong. And all of a sudden, they're married together, they're grown together, so that as soon as you get a twinge, it's, I feel healthy and strong. You don't even have to think about it anymore, you default to that. But you have to train yourself to default to that. You've got to literally bring it into your body in physical form by insisting that you think that thought. And then your brain works for you instead of against you, setting mind in motion, setting spiritual law in motion, going from the conscious to the great subjective, that is where we are one with all and using all of that. But if we don't have control of the steering wheel of our brain, it will take us where it's always taken us. And if we don't want to just live yesterday over again forever, we have to do it differently. And it takes training, and this is where a lot of people bail. Oh, I didn't know it was going to be work. I thought you were just going to give me an affirmation, I'd win the lottery and just be able to go ahead and, have millions and millions of dollars and not actually have to change. It doesn't work that way. You've got to change on the inside to change on the outside. Jane.
Wouldn't you say I am healthy and strong rather than I feel healthy and strong?
You can. This was April's.
The what?
You can say I am healthy and strong. This felt better to April.
Oh, I okay.
You want to have words that evoke something. And why did I ask her if she wanted feel? Because what do you do when you're in pain? You feel it. So I wanted to counteract, I feel this pain here, with a feeling of healthy and strong. After she gets that settled in, she may flip it to I am. That's why affirmations can always change. So we got that? Let's do another one. Okay, I'll stop listening to you. What is this? I don't know what it is. So, who's got something that they want to change in their life? Yes, Sylvia.
A legal problem.
A legal problem. How about just a problem? Okay? So here we have a problem. Have you always had this problem? No, it's in the world of time and space. It's in the world of the outer. Will you always have this problem?
Hopefully not.
No, eventually the problem's gonna go away. All problems go away eventually, even if it's when we die. The problem goes away. It's in the world of, without the world of time and space. It comes and it goes. So, what is the opposite of having a problem?
Serenity.
Resolution.
Serenity. Let her think. What else?
Acceptance,
Acceptance of what?
that the solution will come.
Solution. Let's look at that. Now, why can there be solution on the truth side of this diagram? How is solution an eternal verity of spirit?
All is well.
Because all is well on an absolute level. How can there be an absolute problem? It can't. It can feel like an absolute problem, but it isn't. The truth is that everything is always well. That there is a solution there that is going to show up at some point, somehow, that everything always resolves into the solution that was always there, no matter how it looks at the time. So let's go with these two words. Yours were serenity and solution. That's what you want to go to. And that's why it's so important to let her say the word, because she'll come up with a different word than you will. And you may have a whole other word, and that's great. Those are your words. Keep them. They're good. So what would your affirmation be?
I trust that the solution is now.
Okay, I trust that the solution is now. So do you want to trust that the solution is now, or do you want the solution to be now?
I now experience a solution.
See, the whole question mark at the end of that statement tells me that that's probably not quite right. How are you going to feel when it's all worked out?
Serene.
Okay, so let's go, that was your first word, so let's go with serene and serenity.
Well, I'm trying to think of something that's short.
Well, let's do the shortest one we can, and then we'll work on it. I am serene, I feel serene.
I feel serene that a solution is at hand.
Let's just stay with I feel serene. I feel serene. How does that feel to you?
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like you, to feel serene, you have to be visualizing that a solution will present itself.
Wonderful. So I am serene, I feel serene. You like I feel serene? I feel serene. I'm going to do it down here. I'm going to do it over here. I feel serene. And though we usually don't add to it, we're going to this time. Knowing the solution's at hand, knowing that it's all worked out.
Resolved.
Huh?
I felt serene and resolved.
Did you say resolved? No,
I
resolved is
already used that.
your word, whoever said it over here.
Yeah.
Keep it over at that table. I feel serene now that the solution, and it's gotta be your words.
No, the solution is at hand. I think I would end up saying,
I feel serene now that the solution is at hand.
Resolution.
The solution is her word.
Oh, I know, but I just put an R and E in front of it to make this resolution. I took her word.
It's like the electric company.
So say that all the way through, Sylvia.
I feel serene knowing the solution is at hand.
How's that feel? Can you say that 1,000 times?
I think I would just go to, I feel serene.
I feel serene because really, knowing the solution is at hand is the means to get to the serenity. Just go to the serenity. You could be serene in the midst of a problem, but the problem can't stand without your upset. Because then it's not a problem. If you're cool with it, it's not a problem. And then you just take the energetic legs right out from under it, and it's got to come back into alignment of oneness and connection and love and harmony and peace and all of that. It's got to, no matter what people think it is. I feel serene. I feel serene. Well, what about I am serene?
Yeah, that's stronger. I am serene.
You see how we're doing this? I am serene. 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 Oh, thank God I can take a breath now. I am serene. I am serene. I love serenity. I love that feeling of being serene, of just knowing that the solution is at hand. I feel so serene. Hi, how are you, Sylvia? I'm serene. Isn't that wonderful? You can't have a problem live in your life when you're like that. So, I am serene. We've got time for one more. Kate.
Successful in business.
Successful in business.
The problem? No, that's the truth.
Oh, wow. So what is the problem that you are switching just as a teaching experience for people?
That
I
I
not
not experience the level of success that I want. That's what the problem is.
Okay. Not experience. So I've not experienced, my not back a little bit, not experienced the level of success that I want. Do you think that you will ever experience the level of success that you want? Yes. This is all about time and space. It hasn't happened yet. It's going to happen, so we want to bring it in. Other people have that. I'm connected with them for that matter. Barbara says we're all one. That means I have already experienced the level of success that I want. Plus, since if I can think it, it must exist, I've already got it floating around me, trying to find a foot in my door of my life. It's here. So what we're going to have, the truth is what?
I am successful.
The truth is that success is, period. The very fact that you're sitting upright and breathing, not to mention the whole egg and sperm and all of that stuff. You guys are amazing successes just to be here. So the affirmation is what?
I am successful. Yeah.
I am successful. I am successful. I am full of success. I can't even breathe without being successful. I am successful right now. And this whole thing about, I want, be careful of that. Be careful of your judgment and your quantifying and deciding whether or not your self-worth is based on what your levels are and all of that. It's a slippery slope. I am successful, period, end of story. I am successful. I am so successful. I am way successful, however you want to do it, to pump it up. I am successful. I am successful. I am serene. I feel great. I am. And then fill it in with something that you want to have in your life. But I'm telling you, you're going to need to do this over and over and over and over. It could be a mantra. Those of us who aspire to, one of our previous lives of monkdom, any good monk can do their affirmations and their chanting while they are having a conversation with you, while they are working, while they are washing the dishes, and they still just run it. So learn how to do that. I am successful, I am successful, I am successful, I am happy, I am free, I am rich, I am joyous, I'm strong, I'm powerful, I'm wonderful. Remember Ernest used to have people put their arms around a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful me. I am wonderful, I'm fantastic, I'm hot. Whatever it is, do it over and over and over and over and over again, because you are pulling brain pieces away from each other and giving them an opportunity to find a much better match for the life that you want. And then it's easier to think it. Easier, easier, easier to where it just runs. All is well, all is well, all is well, all is well, all is well. D.
8 years ago, the 23rd of March, when I came to this Center for Creative Living for the very first time, and all of the stuff that everyone experiences in their own way. And remember, I don't know how many of you remember this, but I went through this period of time where I used a positive word for the day of the week. Like if it was Sunday, then I was spectacular. If it was Monday, I was magnificent. Tuesday, terrific.
I remember you doing that.
I did it over and over and over. And then that got old, and so I started doing January, and then all of the words in January: joyous, jubilant, get the drift. It's called alliteration, and I have it really bad, but.
And you also have an amazing memory that you can remember what you did in those months back then.
But I did it today to someone, and today is Monday. I didn't use magnificent. Someone came in to where I work and said, "How are you?" And I said, "I'm so fantastic." And they said, "Then you must be, because you said it." And I said, "Absolutely." And it works, it works.
It does.
I came here so broken.
I remember.
I remember. And all of those words, all of that feeling, just saying it over and over and over makes it so.
Yeah. Sometimes we have to get ourselves broken to get ourselves in the door. Yeah, and it's worth it.
Yeah.
You had your knee and you healed back so quickly. It was you were quite a model for.
They asked me to do that, and I said, no, I was busy doing other better things.
So, is there anyone in the room that can't figure out an affirmation for this week? I mean, if you go home without an affirmation and use that as an excuse not to do it, that's your business. All I can do is give you some of the best science of mind available on the planet. It's up to you whether or not you're going to use it. But if you don't have one and you want some help, right now is the time. Otherwise, everyone's going to go home and do their affirmation 1,000 times a day. Yes, Rebecca.
This whole thing of a second job, I feel like I have these two lives, and I'm pursuing one, and then I think I want to pursue the other one. And so this, even choosing an affirmation, I'm like, well, do I want that or do I want this? So is it just pick one and go?
You can pick one and go, or you can do an affirmation for knowing what to do. I'm clear.
There we go.
I know what to do. I'm divinely guided and directed, inspired and uplifted, and I always know what to do.
Okay, that's it, yeah.
I mean, that's just my jazzy one,
No,
but
no,
God,
no.
I used that for months and months when I didn't think I knew what to do.
Yeah.
And I would look around. I'm divinely guided and directed, inspired and uplifted, and I always know what to do. And then I'd look around, looking for a sign. So that's great. Yes, Heather.
All right, Kristen keeps telling me to raise my hand. Should I need an affirmation? I'm experiencing a lot of anger at work because I don't feel like I'm getting a lot of respect from my peers. So I need to.
One of mine is I'm surrounded by people who love and support me.
That's good.
And then people would leave.
I'm not the boss.
I'm surrounded by people who love and support me. I'm always surrounded by people who love and support me. Sometimes I tell that to myself when someone's complaining about me, to me. I'm surrounded by people who love and support me. So either this has to turn into love and support, or it has to go back into the nothingness from whence it came. But otherwise, I'll get triggered off, and then you get angry, and then, you see, it's not only the mental thing that I really want people to hear, you get a physical hit off of anger.
Yes.
And if you have any kind of addiction at all, there's a part of you that wants that anger and wants the hit and will go out of your way to surround yourself by people that will piss you off so that you can be justified in your anger and you can get that hit. It's a whole new 12-step program. And what you'll learn is that you can also get a hit from being happy and being joyous.
And gratitude.
And being in gratitude. It's different, it's a different high. It's like the different kinds of pot out in Colorado. It's a different high. But it's wonderful. It's wonderful. To be as happy as Dee Brooks is right now, you know, if anybody had known you those years ago, and if I could have told you just in a short 2016, you're gonna be sitting here going, I have everything that I've ever wanted and I'm happy. Yeah, it's worth it. And so you're just to soothe you, you're still gonna be able to get your self-created drugs, but it will be based on happiness and joy, not anger. And if you look at the global soup, for God's sakes, let's not add more anger. Let's add some happiness and joy. Let's add some compassion and some kindness, some flexibility. Kate.
I just want to share that in this whole thing of trying to see myself as successful, and that over the last short period of time, I've gone through this thing of feeling like, can I ever do this? Can I ever really learn the skills necessary? And then I say, well, of course you can. You learned all the skills to be a physical therapist. Surely you can learn these skills. They're not that difficult. But I would vacillate back and forth. And then I found myself in the morning when I was doing my morning prayer that I just dropped all that completely. And I started looking around the room that I was sitting in, which I can see from that room into the next room and into the next room. And looking at all just the myriad things that we have that are beautiful, and the house that we have that is so comfortable, and the man that I share it with, that I treated for a long time.
So Kate, you are already successful.
Yes, you can do it.
It was like when I finally stopped worrying about how to do it and if I could do it, and just started looking at what I already have, I felt better.
Flipping into gratitude is so good. It's so good, you're already successful. And you don't have to go out and find it, it finds you. Clean it up on the inside, you're already successful. You sell vacations. Wow.
How hard is that?
Yeah. You sell fun. And it's a good deal. So, okay. Anything else before we close? Good, good, good. Take out what you're gonna give. Hold it in your hand. I know many of you give to the center through PayPal and monthly auto givings and bank drafts and all of that, and I'm very grateful. So whether you're holding something in your hand or holding it in your heart, it's all part of the same thing. And what I know is that in our world within, we are rich, we are blessed, we are loved. And I know that that state of consciousness manifests in our world without as our bank statements, our portfolios, our assets, all of the beauty in our lives. And so I know that we give this gift this night from the best of us, from the fullness of us, and that that which we are goes with our giving. I know that the blessing of life as us fills up this room from the floor to the ceiling and all between the walls. I know that we are touched and blessed. That as we give, we set spiritual law in motion. And life takes our gift, multiplies it, and brings it back. So we open up our minds to know that God has ways of giving us money that we've never even dreamed of yet. We open up our hearts to know that we deserve to be rich and blessed right here and right now. And then we open up our hands and let the gift go, knowing that the entire universe comes together to conspire for our good. I know that each one of us comes together to make this Center for Spiritual Living Asheville all that it was ever meant to be. It is a place of peace, a beacon of light, a tower of strength, and a fountain of wisdom that touches the lives of all who call it home. And so it is. Stay with us, Drew. Stay with us. We're manifesting. We're bringing forth the molecules of creation. I don't know, I just closed my eyes and saw stacks of gold, so go with it. Could be piles of money. It could be assets. It could be deals. It could be companies. We are bringing forth the molecules of creation to establish in the world without a life that is rich, it is abundant, it is perfect in every way. And so I do know that everything in these baskets is blessed, that money is energy, and that that energy of money is in creative mode right now, because we gave, we set spiritual law in motion, life multiplies it and gives it right back. There is no time delay. We have already received the abundant return of this gift. And we continue to set this law in motion, giving and receiving all with greater and greater love and joy. Life is good. We are blessed. And so it is.
So it is.
Have a wonderful